Look at this. Immediately, before I even have 5 seconds on this video, I have a like on it. Boy, that's interesting, don't you think? Why do you think my feed is compromised? I'm some doofus with 700 subscribers. I'm nobody. I'm nothing. So why am I such a threat? If everything I'm saying is wrong, then why am I a threat? What am I doing that's threatening? Anybody wants to explain it to me, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear how somebody spreading lies is somehow dangerous. 3 likes, 1 viewer. Makes total sense. 4 likes, 1 viewer. Let's keep going, guys. Bring that number back up. Like, share, sub. Help out. So do we do the censored version now? Is that how this works? Brian, thank you for liking the video. I appreciate it. Your efforts go a long way. If you don't like the video, dislike it. Understand that you know, we're supposed to have freedom of speech here. This is a free speech thing. You know, again, if somebody's wrong, then I should be free to be able to say these things and then have my community fix it. I'll say it out loud on the live feed, and then you guys come in and tell me what I'm getting wrong. That seems pretty easy, right? Is that asking too much? Is it asking too much to have some honesty, especially like if I'm talking about your thing? Say I'm talking about Christianity or Islam or Judaism. If you're proud of your beliefs and you know that your beliefs are the right ones, why wouldn't you want somebody like me saying things wrong so then you can come and fix those misconceptions and then essentially fix the problem? Fact, took a censorship axe from someone on this channel. They reported it, lost signal. Yep. For what? I'm wrong, right? If I was sitting here telling you guys that the Care Bears controlled the earth, do you think anybody would care? Do you think anybody would get upset about it? And then Love Bear, he sticks his chest out and he shoots the bad guys with the rainbow, the blah blah. Think about that. So prior to the last feed ending, there were bots. That's all I can say. I don't know what else you want to call them. There were bots that were just repeating themselves over and over again, trying to prevent the comments from coming through. You got your right, or you're wrong. My right is right here. All of it right. Can't talk about Jays or the so-called Messiah. Why? That's the part I just don't get. Like, that's why I go live. I go live because I think I'm right, and I'm trying to prove myself wrong, basically. So I welcome anybody that has a problem with anything I have to say. Please engage. Tell me what I'm getting wrong. Educate me. And yet, instead of education, all I ever get is crybaby bullshit.
I wasn't expecting that.
I mean, it's like, I don't need to pull up a bunch of different feeds and a bunch of different pages and all that to prove my point. All right? Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. I'd like to hear the theory. What theory? You know, there's no theory here. It's such interesting shit to see how how crazy this whole system is and how obvious all this stuff is. You want to hear the submarine stuff? Go back and watch part 1 through 9. Plenty of talk about it. We go pretty in depth into submarines. So if you're interested in that conversation, it's available to you. How many other people do you know that have 600, 700 subscribers go live and within 5 minutes have 70 some people? Everybody's heard that song. All right, ready to be educated. Sure. Let's hear. Oh, Atlantis Adventures, you can go ride in a sub. Your intelligence is depth in a puddle. Yep. Like, this is the best you can do. So, you think a ride proves a technology. Gotcha. And really, the ride is a boat. It's exactly what I say it is. It's a boat. You're going on a boat ride. But hey, you think that submarines can go deep down in the water. It's all good. I feel like everything you argue is opinion-based. No one is going... Right. It's not... Right. When I'm reading all of the information we're supposed to read, that's my opinions. I go and make Wikipedia and all these other pages say what I want them to say. That's what it is. These people don't even know about Tartaria, so it's no point. You know what? I hear you in some regards, but the problem with Tartaria is the best distraction they've ever given us. Right? Because Tartaria is something that every time you look, you get validated. Every time you look into the history of an old building or whatever, you're going to find a fire story. You're going to find a contest was done and some person was randomly picked to design the building and then it was built by who knows who in 2 or 3 years, 1 or 2 years. You know, you're going to get nothing but validation on the inside, knowing that you're onto something. The problem is, we only know as much Tartaria stuff as they want us to know. And the only way we can ever get the answers that we seek are if we stop the genocide that's taking place right now. If we overthrow the Jays that control the world, then we can get the answers we seek. But until then, we don't know shit. It's just this thing that sort of popped up in the last couple years, and it's obviously true. The thing about distractions is the best distractions are truth. Another one of the great distractions is the Hollywood pedo stuff. You know? It's a distraction because it's true. And we'll never get to the bottom of it until we overthrow the Jays that control the narrative. Like, it's... What about electric ambulance? Like, again, it's all there, right? The history is all there. And the thing is, you don't bother to think about it most of the time. If you're watching, like, share, and sub, don't forget to do that. But, like most of us don't even think about... So we're supposed to believe, like, there's this thing called the horseshit crisis of like 1880 or something like that in New York. And they talk about how there were, 100,000 horses or whatever in New York at the time. And each horse creating 15 to 30 pounds of shit every day would require 245 of today's garbage trucks to remove that much shit every single day. Where did they put it? Where did it go? We're supposed to believe that these people built all these monstrous buildings and did all this great shit while riding around on donkeys and horses with wooden wheels through muddy streets with shit all over them and dead horses and all that shit. How would you overthrow them? As long as enough of us, as long as enough of the Goyim get together and we figure out plans. Like, first of all, everybody go get your free download. www.the-bilderberg, BILDERBERG, the-group.com. The link will be in the description after the fact. Sorry, I can't put it in beforehand. Every time I do, it seems to shut the feed down. There will also be a link to the Facebook page with the song Putin Work, so you can go to our Facebook page as well. We have to be able to stay connected. They're going to shut the shit down. It's what they do. As soon as somebody starts really getting, like really reaching people, they're going to shut me down. They let guys like Alex Jones do his thing because Alex is one of them. All you guys out there that don't know, let me show you something that you probably never saw before. Really an interesting thing, right? Oh.
The Jews, Mr. Jones, have inflicted tremendous harm upon the United States.
Well, let me ask you a question. From your perspective, should the Jews be gotten rid of?
Yes, they should. In every country...
All right, I'm going to stop you right there. I am Jewish.
There you go. That's what you guys need to know. That even even the other side is controlled. Look at a guy named Dark. He broke into the Bohemian Grove. Again, that's all fake. Alex Jones broke into the Bohemian Grove, and what he filmed was just some nonsense. Like, you don't see anything. You just hear some screams and some other nonsense. But apparently, that's all you get. Like, it's all just bullshit. They give you just enough to believe what you want to believe. Bill Cooper. There are lots of guys like Bill Cooper out there who, Ted Gunderson, another guy who former FBI chief who exposed the Franklin cover-up. The Franklin cover-up is the 80s version of Pizzagate. And he exposed it. He's a former FBI chief. And if you think that because those guys are telling the truth about one part, that they're telling the truth about all parts, you're mistaken. You can learn a lot from people like, you can learn a lot from Alex Jones. But just understand what you're looking at. Understand you're looking at a racist hate mongerer, fear mongerer. Alex is going to be one of those people that has you believing, it has you having those panic attacks and all that other stuff. Alex Jones is they killed Gunderson. I watched some of his stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's all the same. Bob Lazar. The thing is, it's like we don't understand this. If we all know who that person is, it's probably on purpose. People, like, we know how strict all the social media platforms are and all that. We all know that. If they don't want stuff big enough, feed, of course. Jesus loves you. If Jesus loves me, then why doesn't he love the children enough to stop the clergy from raping them? I mean, it's all stupid. If you're going to be distracted by some 2,000-year-old fairy tale, I don't know what to tell you. You clearly don't know the origins of that fairy tale. Most people don't even know, what most of it even says. They just want to believe that they're going to go, your magic man in the sky is not real. They just want to feel like, I'm going to go to heaven when I die. This guy is a psychopath. Yep. I am a psychopath. Look at me just killing things. Bro is dissing religion while denying submarines exist. Oh my God, that's crazy. It's just like everything else. Submarines and Jesus go in the exact same category. You would think, with all of the concessions that religion has, they have their own country. They have tax-free buildings all over this country where they collect money and then send it to that country. You know, they constantly get caught raping children and still are allowed to exist. Like, you would think if something gets that much favor, then it would have like some real concrete proof. Just like you all who believe submarines exist, I challenge you, go look up YouTube videos. Go see if you can see a single video of a camera on the front of a submarine swimming around through the water. Just like you'll never see the camera on the top of a rocket as it goes from, blue to black space. You'll never see the camera pointing up. You might see the camera pointing down, but you'll never see it pointing up. Go ahead and find that one video of the submarine swimming through the water like a fucking fish. See if you can find it. There should be, I shouldn't be able to make an argument. It's 2024. Nobody should be arguing the shape of the earth if the earth is this round ball flying through space and we know it. The fact that there's even an argument sort of tells you something else is going on. And this is the problem with so many of these clown fake bot profiles is they come through here and they think they make some sort of reasonable comment, but it's not. It's just dumb shit. You can look it up, brother. That ain't weed. Yep. I mean, look at all these comments. If I'm wrong, how come nobody addresses what I'm saying? How come everybody is so motivated and angry by what I'm saying that they have to say something, but damn near everything that comes through just proves the point? We're all really, really stupid. Ask your average Christian, what's the first thing God does after he turns on the light? God doesn't make the sun and the moon until day 4, so I don't even know how you have 4 days without the sun and the moon. But what did God do after he first turned on the light? And we'll see how many people. Hamas supporters. Hamas isn't real. Hamas is Israel's Al-Qaeda or ISIS. Isn't it funny how on a day where Israel was attacking multiple hospitals, was it ISIS? Oh yeah, ISIS, who hasn't been a thing in like 10 years, pops up to attack a Russian theater and kills 100-something people, and everybody's super upset about it. Oh. And then they disappear again. Meanwhile, Israel over the night killed like 300 people in a hospital and in 2 different hospitals and blah, blah, blah. And people wonder what the fuck is going on. Hamas is said to have launched 5,000 rockets within the first 20 minutes on October 7th, 2023. However, if you go and you look up Israel-Hamas war 2023, 2024, whatever. Well, I did it in November. I did it a month on November 7th of 2023. So it was a lot easier to do this. They hadn't changed the way that Wikipedia works, one. And the title was simply Israel-Hamas War 2023. So it hadn't been adjusted and whatnot yet. But I went to the edit history. And then I clicked back as far as I could. I went to the first edit I could find on that page because I just had a feeling. And the first edit on that page was made at 6:22 a.m. local time on October 7th. The issue being the attack didn't take place until 6:30 a.m. local time on October 7th. So somehow, someone knew to make a Wikipedia page for something that hadn't happened yet. Even though it was a surprise attack and all this other shit, it hadn't happened yet. And even if it was reversed, even if you said that the page was made 8 minutes after the attack, would that make sense? There's an attack going on and somebody's running to Wikipedia to make a page, and then laying out the entire narrative for the next few days within the first couple hours? Within the first half hour, they had laid out most of the narrative for that day. And it was just like 4 or 5 profiles that had access to be able to edit this page. And you can just see they're making all of these strange edits, and it's happening. And one of the things they said was that Hamas had launched 5,000 rockets in the first 20 minutes. It happened so fast that there's no footage of it. So Hamas, in the barricaded, the cordoned off, the sanctioned area that is the Gaza Strip, that has the Israeli blockade around it, that won't even let lumber come in to fix the houses because that lumber could be used as weapons against Israel. Somehow they're able to sneak not just 5,000 rockets, but the rocket launchers that are able to launch 5,000 rockets in 20 minutes. That's 4 rockets every second. Every single second for 20 minutes. And yet no footage exists. And then they also claim that almost immediately Hamas, or that 1,500 Hamas had been killed. And since then, every time you hear about the narrative, you hear that, well, first it was around 1,400, but now it's only around 11 or 1,200. We don't really know. But they always refer to it as people killed in Israel. That's not saying Israelis were killed. That's saying people in Israel were killed. Like the 1,500 Hamas that they originally reported were killed in Israel. No Israelis were killed on October 7th, just like none were taken hostage. It's all just lies. And they have a history of it. 3 weeks after October 7th, on October 21st, here in Detroit, a woman, a chosen community leader, was supposedly killed on October 20th. So she was supposedly killed after leaving a wedding and driving home so drunk that she forgot to close her front door behind her, apparently. And she was supposedly killed sometime between like 1 a.m. It was initially said she was killed around 1:30, but then it got changed to around 4:30 a.m. But she was killed on October 21st in the early morning. And according to the news, on October 22nd, 1,000 people attended her funeral the previous day. They don't actually really like say it out and out because it's fucking stupid. But the way they slyly tell you that on October 22nd, the morning newspapers talk about how her funeral yesterday was beautiful. Well, how do you have a funeral for someone the day they're killed, hours later, and 1,000 people show up? Serious. Answer the question. Answer it for yourself. Is that possible? Is it possible to have a funeral for someone the day they are killed? Earlier in 2023, there was a supposedly some Hamas, two Palestinian gunmen, militants, opened fire on a gas station in Israel, killing 4 people. Which led to what's called a rampage, where Israeli settlers pooled together and just marched down a given path, lighting things on fire, beating people up, doing whatever they want to do. They're rampaging. And they did it because that's their response to these horrible things that happen to them. The rampage took place about 2 hours after the supposed incident. And by the time, the reason the rampage took place when it did is because they waited for the funeral to be over. So 2 of the people that were killed on that day had a funeral and were buried within 2 hours. Is that believable to anyone? What do you think about the Freemasons? Freemasonry comes out of Judaism. Its origins are in Judaism. So, there you go. I'm living looking out my back door by CPR. Just got home from Illinois. From Montgomery. Looking on the immigration man. So stupid. This guy's got to be schizo, blah, 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 blah. What about 9/11? Mossad did it. It's really obvious. Anybody that wants to can look up dancing Israelis. I mean, it's not like some conspiracy theory. A woman called the police because a group of Arabic-looking men who turned out to be Israelis and turned out to be Mossad agents had set up a camera long before Tower 1 was hit. So they had footage of Tower 1 being hit. She said they were filming it, and then when it happened, they were celebrating and laughing and dancing. And then after the second one hit, same thing. They got arrested. They then were immediately deported or sent back to Israel. And then they went on Israeli TV and laughed and bragged about it and joked about it. They were Mossad. I mean, it's like when you understand that, like, you can't set up your video camera before everything happens without having prior knowledge. Do you remember when 9/11 happened and they claimed initially that 8,000 to 10,000 people were probably dead? Because that's how many it should have been. At the time everything happened and the way everything happened, those buildings were supposed to be full of chosen. And yet for some reason, they didn't come to work that day. Yeah. Lucky for Larry Silverstein, his wife had been nagging him about going to a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment. And that day, he just happened to do it instead of being in the penthouse on the top floor having his daily breakfast. Lucky him, huh? Who would have gotten, billions of dollars in insurance payouts after the fact? I mean, it's all just crazy. It's all crazy. I always say this, like, let's just say, whether you want to say I live alone, or I lived in my mom's basement, or I lived with my wife, but I beat her ass on a regular basis, and I was a drunk, and I smoked crack, and I sold drugs, and I kicked my dog, and beat my children, and I did all of these horrible things. Would that make anything I'm saying less true? What about the photos the Israeli students took outside the towers? They were planted where they planted the bombs. A New York newspaper posted them as students. They never showed the faces on the paper. I mean, I don't need to actually, like, I don't need any more evidence of it. Right? I don't look at what happens on my feed. Just look at, if I'm talking about this stuff, what regular people, they're at work right now because it's 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning. All these people are stopping what they're doing in their lives because they're mad at me for talking about what I believe to be the truth. And they don't tell me what I'm wrong about, what they're mad about, anything like that. They're just mad. How would that make sense if what I was saying was false? Direct energy web. I mean, everybody should look up Dr. Judy Wood. Dr. Judy Wood, if she was, I wrote a song called A Man Would Be Famous. That's another one of those songs you can get for free at www.the-bilderberg, bilderberg-group.com. Just put a 0 in the payment box when it asks you how much you want to pay. The link will be in the description after the fact. But we wrote a song about Judy Wood. And if she was a man, she'd be a tremendously famous person. Well, because she's a woman, they shut her down. But she makes a great point. If you look at the footage of the towers collapsing, and instead of following the foreground with you, following the subject with your eyes like you're supposed to, you just continue looking at the top, you'll see some weird shit going on. It kind of is believable. I've never seen a man from Jordan passed as he buried the early next morning. And I have seen a man from Jordan passed and he was buried early next morning. And that was here in America with our... Yeah. I mean, again, I have to believe you, but you're even still talking about a 24-hour period. He passed and then was buried the next day. Now, if he's a man from Jordan without any family or anything like that, maybe, but I don't see how you would... How I'm supposed to believe that whatever the funeral company is, that they don't have anything planned for that day. That other people haven't been dying every day prior to, and more funerals are consistently being scheduled. And they just have nothing going on, and they do it. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Did the J. Great morning, Williams, but I have to get some sleep. I work the third shift, speaking truth without fear and overthrow the Zion machine. It's not anti-Semitic, it's anti-satanic. Yeah, I can't say I agree with you on that one. It's not anti-Semitic. Semitic is all the people. White, black, brown, all of the people from that region, the Palestinians, the Lebanese, the Egyptians, like all the people from that area are Semitic. Semitism, on the other hand, is a policy or predisposition to show the J's favor. So it's supremacy. Favor is supremacy, and I'm very anti-supremacy. No, it is, Mad. You sound yep, I do. I sound cracked out. Unless you're on vacation and just happen to scroll up this, your reality sense is tingling. Huh? Jesus Christ. It's all just dumb shit. It's a train crash people watch. No one is mad. They're not. Yep, that's what it is. Everybody's like, you're Y-O-U-R wrong about literally 99% of what you said. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it interesting that instead of telling me what I'm wrong about, I'm this mental case that these random people, again, 10:30 in the morning, they're just laughing at and making fun of somebody with mental issues because he's talking about truth it's not true. 99% of it's not real, but can't actually say anything. Like, this is just insane to me. It's insane to me that people can be so stupid. It's like black people being Christians, right? How do you not know the history you're supposed to know? Not saying it's true, because I don't believe in the slavery narrative. I don't believe in the Native American genocide narrative. But you do. If you believe that narrative, why would you be Christian if you're black? Is it because you went and studied all the African religions and you figured out that all those African religions are just selling porky pies and Christianity's the truth? Is that why you're a Christian? Or is it because that's what your brainwashed family brainwashed you into believing yourself? Like, I always find it fucking crazy how people are like that. Right? How can you be so ignorant? I mean, it's ignorance at its finest. You know, it's crazy. And you learn about how how Christianity spread all over, right? It's not because the Christians just showed up and was like, hey, we got this story for you. And everybody was like, oh, well, that must be true. No, they killed people that didn't believe in them, or they bribed them. You know, we'll give your village water if you believe this narrative, but if you don't, well, then we'll go somewhere else. Like it's just fucking crazy how, you know, Dick Gregory said it. If it's good enough, people will steal it, right? If it's good enough, like my feed, right? I go live every day. I have all of these supposed people who just hate me so much and disagree with everything I'm saying, and yet they come back day after day after day. If I block their profile, they'll make a new profile just so they can watch me. Why? Because it's the truth. Because it's so good. Anything else they could be watching doesn't compare.
So, who's going to pay for your next car repair?
They have access to all the chosen entertainment they could find. Fighting and news and, I mean, if you're on your phone, all the porn you could watch, whatever. And instead of doing any of that, you're here and you're mad. Oh, but you're not mad. You're laughing at me. That's why you just come across so angry. It's wild, man. Like if I did this and people came in and just explained things and I was like, oh, well, I guess I can't respond because what you're saying is true. And especially if there weren't so many of these bot profiles trying to get other people to not watch me and trying to discourage me from, you know, talking or asking questions. If that wasn't what was happening, well, I'd quit. You know, if there wasn't the response, then what would be the point? Just like if everyone was happy, if all these Christians existed out here and they were all just happy and there was no drama, there was no strife, there was no turmoil, everybody was just happy waiting to die so they could go to heaven. Who would I be to try to disrupt that? That would be terrible of me. I've actually done that before. Where there was this one of my physical therapists was this bubbly little blonde chick with her, you know, her husband and her 2.5 kids in their white picket fence house, and she was a cheerleader and he was an engineer and blah blah. And she's just happy in her belief in Jesus, and she doesn't even notice that the sky is full of chemtrails. Well, who am I to fucking ruin her fucking, you know? That shit doesn't make you. It can be a pretty overwhelming thing, especially if you're not necessarily ready for it. So who am I to shatter her illusion? If she wanted to know the stuff and she wanted to have the conversation, then I'd be all about it. But her job is to make small talk. And that's all she was trying to do. She wasn't trying to hear about that shit. Just think about, like, look at how stupid these people are. So I'm talking about religion. I'm talking about the way the world works and all these things. The first 9 parts of this series talk all about submarines not being real. And if you want to hear all about it, go right ahead. You can hear every point made and then come on back and you tell me what I got wrong. But to think, like, why wouldn't you want to talk about who's going to stop this conversation? Who would be watching this conversation and be like, or this presentation and be like, no, I don't like what you're saying. I want you to talk about this. You know, subs don't nearly affect as many people as religion does. Religion controls everything. You want to talk about submarines, something I've already done to death because that's the name of the show? Boy, are you super smart. And obviously you're going to have these bot profiles that are going to do everything they can. See, I said if they don't have pictures, then they're probably bots. So they ran ahead and went ahead and made a bunch of quick profiles with pictures. Yeah, we're not bots, but we all just say the same things. I mean, it's, just look at what you're seeing. Look at what you're seeing. Rants don't change a thing. Rants change people's minds, and I'm ranting. Look at me just ranting and ranting. I just find it all so fucking entertaining. To me, this is entertaining. To sit here and watch, like, it's just my ego just swells and swells. Every time somebody says anything other than proving me wrong, and they just play that pre-played card, every single time it's like, yep, there's another one. Lack of evidence is evidence against. And the fact that there's no evidence to show you guys that I'm wrong, that should say a lot. Look at all these dumb things. I mean, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Like, these people are desperate, and they're trolls, right? Why wouldn't the desperate troll just focus on what's wrong and then try to make me look dumb? Like, it's just amazing to me. And it's over and over again. I can't stress it enough. Before they can give you a government, they need to give you a religion, science too. But it's not. Why would you believe in Satan, dude? What's worse than having an imaginary friend? An imaginary enemy. What evidence do you have to show you that Satan exists? The little dude in the red suit, the effeminate guy in the red suit with the mustache and his pitchfork, and he's got a little tail, and I'm going to poke you with my fork. What makes you think that's real? It's all part of the trick. It's just the trick. You believe in Satan. The thing about Satan is Satan has also magic powers and shit. And every superhero movie, everything has shown you multiple times. The super villain can only be destroyed, only be beaten by the superhero. I don't believe in Satan. It's just good and evil, dude. Well, again, if instead of us going, it's the government that we can see, it's the chosen that we can see, it's the Rothschilds, it's the Trumps, on the lowest levels, it's the Trumps, the Bidens, the whatever. It's the Rothschilds, it's the Rockefellers, it's the, you name it. And instead of us looking at the actual real life bad guys that we can see, one of the best things that the system does is have us focused on the invisible. Right? If we're focused on invisible shit, then they control what we see. And so instead of us saying, hey, it's these horrible chosen guys, these dual Israeli citizens that control our government, it's all these people, these real life people. Instead of saying it's them, we say, oh, well, it's Satan. It's Satan worshipers, and they're satanic, and they have rituals that give them powers. Well, the only way we can defeat that then is with superpower Jesus. Superhero Jesus is the only way that we can defeat supervillain Satan. And the thing is, if Satan was really the secret, then I wouldn't be allowed to talk about it. I could make videos all day talking about Satan, and I'll probably get a much bigger feed, actually. Right? I'd be allowed to, if I was telling people, obviously it's Satan. So really, if I tell you it's Satan, then what's your best bet? Your best bet is to go in your house alone and pray. Basically do nothing, but make yourself feel better because you're praying about it. They love getting us focused on the invisible. They have people thinking that an invisible rock could fall out of the sky at any point and wipe out all of humanity like it did the invisible dinosaurs. They have you thinking it's not the Mitch McConnells and the Dandelions Grahams. It's not them. It's not the Trumps. It's not the Bidens. It's not the Ruiz. It's not those guys. It's the deep state. Brrr. Look out for the deep state. The invisible government. You can't see them. But Trump's telling you, hey, it's not. It's the deep state. And you're like, oh, I guess it is because Trump said so. God and the devil, both invisible things. The invisible God makes you run faster and catches balls, but not in the history of religion, in the history of mankind, has a cop ever been driving down the road. Suddenly his hands start bleeding. He's got stigmata going, and he stops his car, and there's an overwhelming urge to go kick in that door. So he goes and kicks in the door, and he busts a pedo ring. And he's like, God just told me, look, my hands are bleeding. I have stigmata. Never, not once has that happened. As God tried to help some kids being held hostage or whatever. Yet, let that guy hit that home run. God is good. Nothing is possible without God. But at the same time, let that pitcher strike out that last guy, and God is good. Nothing's possible without God. God happened to be an Angels fan this year, or a Dodgers fan this year, not a Yankees fan. He was a Yankees fan up until the World Series, but then he changed his mind. It's so crazy how just delusional they have you. They have everyone scared of invisible germs. The invisible germs make you sick. Germs are floating. Make sure you put on your mask and your shield and your everything, because it's invisible germs are going to get you sick. You know, they have you believing in everything invisible. Invisible nukes. Watch out for the invisible nukes. Satan is man. God is man. Good and evil. We are the answer to. We are the superheroes and the villains. Yeah, I mean, I think the majority of us are just followers, man, and that's okay. Like, that's another big sort of trick, is they have everybody believing that they have a purpose. You have a purpose here, and you need to fulfill your purpose. So then you have all these successful people out there who are constantly depressed because they don't feel purpose. They can't find this purpose. They don't know what the purpose is, so they can never actually achieve it. And it's not a purpose you give yourself, it's the purpose that God gives you. Like, it's Jesus ain't God, and Satan isn't a being, but a state of being, I guess. Are you depressed? Aren't you depressed? No. I thought you were gone, Naomi. Jeez. No, I'm not depressed. I'm pissed. I'm angry. And I think most people are. They've tricked you into taking all sorts of crazy psychotropic medication because they tell you you're depressed, when the reality is you're angry and you have no outlets. You're not allowed to talk about what makes you angry. You're not allowed to say, hey, this COVID stuff is going around. I thought I was covered in the blood of Jesus. Why are we all getting, what the hell? And then the churches all close their doors and you're like, what? And then they find out that the church, the 6 out of 8 of the Pennsylvania diocese were full of pedos violating children and then sending them across the country to all the priest would get caught and then they'd get sent off to a different state. In Pennsylvania, 6 of 8 were full of it. The other 2 dioceses were Amish, so you don't get access to those records. But you see your religion consistently. Oh, they settle out of court for $22 million. Oh, they settle out of court for this and that and the other. They settle out of court. They don't hold those people responsible. Oh, well, you know, the Pope has decided that all of those people that were in the lawsuit, they're just going to have to live their life in penance here in paradise of the Vatican. No, we're not going to hand them over and make them go to prison. No, their reputations have already been sullied enough. They don't need to actually serve time. No. Like, it's all just invisible shit. It's invisible. They have us chasing our invisible tails all the time. And we'll never get there. Depression is real, by the way. Sure it is. Sure it is. I'm sure there are some people, that would fall into that depressed category. But I still stand by the fact that I think most people that are depressed are just angry. They tell you you have to figure it out. You have to figure out the secrets in the world. You have to figure out what's the problem in the world? Who's holding us down? Why aren't we the Jetsons yet? Why don't we live in that utopian society that we're supposed to live in? And then you start looking and you find out that every single conspiracy, every single one of these decisions, it leads up to the J's, to the top. They're at the top of the charts on all of it. They control it. They pull all the strings. And when you start to say, hey, I think I figured this out. I think they go, no. You can't say that. And you go, wait, but you told me to figure it out. I think I figured it out. I think it's the J's. No. You can't say that. Well, shit, am I wrong? Am I not? No, not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying you can't say that. So you go, well, what the hell? What am I supposed to do? It's the devil. Yeah, you could say it's the devil. That's okay. You could say it's the Muslims. That's okay. You can even say it's the Christians. That's okay too. But you just can't say that other thing. And you go, oh, okay. I mean, I guess. Well, how do I compete with? How do I combat the devil? Like it's imaginary. And they're like, yeah, I know, isn't that weird? But you got to figure it out. And you're like, but wouldn't it just be easier if we focused on them? Nope, no. Don't say that. You can't talk about that. And after a while, it starts making you angry. That's not depression. That's anger. You have anger that you live in this monopoly. Your electricity isn't a monopoly. You're not allowed to go from electric company to electric company and get better rates or anything like that. No, your house is plugged into the grid. When you turn a light on or something like that, you're not using anything. Yet they have you believing that you use X amount of power and you need to be charged X amount of dollars. Same thing with your water company. Your house is connected to the water. It's a loop. It's like the water goes in, the water comes out. It's just a loop. Every drop of water that you shower in, that you drink out of the faucet, all that, it's been pissed and shit in a bunch of times. And yet, if you're late on your bill, they'll shut your water off. And you're late on your bill not because you chose to be late, because life is really hard and you couldn't pay that $400, $500, $600 at that time. And yet, you hear the reports of these abandoned buildings or these government buildings or whatever it is, who have like $100,000 past due water bill and they don't get shut off. That's not going to depress you. That's going to piss you off. When your government is telling you that oh well, it's so crazy and chaotic, our government is broke, we're going to have to not pay ourselves. And your mail might be late and all that stuff's going to get interfered with because we can't pay ourselves. But hey, we are going to give Israel $14 billion. You see that, you go, what the fuck is that? That's bullshit. You go driving down your street and your road, you're bouncing all over the place because your roads are all shitty. You go, what the fuck? Where is all this money going? Why are we giving Israel $3.8 billion? They're committing genocide. That doesn't make you depressed. You're not depressed because your grandparents made $20 a day and were able to have a big nice house, multiple cars, send multiple kids through college, and live with a nice retirement. While you make more in a year than your grandfather probably made in 10 years, and you're struggling. You can't find a one-bedroom apartment for less than $1,000. That doesn't depress you. That makes you angry. You're angry about this shit. You know? You're angry when you see that Hollywood is consistently the Hollywood chosen, like Epstein, Weinstein, all these guys, Moonves, Richardson, Dan Schneider, all these guys keep getting in trouble, violating not just children, but just women, men, all of it. And yet nothing happens. Weinstein's charges were overturned. He got when he got sentenced those 25 years, it was a Goyim judge. But once a chosen judge got a hold of it, well, Weinstein's charges are all overturned and overturned. You think that's depressing? Are you depressed when you hear that? Are you depressed when Trump is elected president and you know that women's rights are going to be taken away from them? Does that depress you? Or does that make you fucking angry?
Yeah. Angry.
Angry. We are not depressed. We are not this depressed group of people that just needs insane amounts of medication that is like taking the brown acid. We don't need that shit. We need answers. We need solutions. We need to feel our value. You know why people get so upset at the idea of McDonald's workers making $15 an hour? Because prior to that, they had a good job when they were making $22, $25 an hour. But now that they're like, the McDonald's person is making just a little bit less than me, what the fuck? Why did I go to college? Why did I put myself in debt? Why did I do all these things when I could just work at McDonald's? Like working at McDonald's is an easy gig. One of the hardest jobs I've ever had was working at the fast food joint. That shit is difficult. It's stressful. It's just awful. It stinks. He blames the Jays. I give them the credit they deserve. The reality is, if they wanted things to be better for everyone else, it would be. We have the means, the technology, and the resources for everybody to live a good, great quality of life without anyone having to work. Sure, lots of people will work and because they want to. There are lots of people out there that will work because they don't want to sit around their house and do nothing. And because if they knew that their job was was a prestigious thing and they provided, them pushing the button meant everybody in their little area got power. Well, there are people out there that they'd like that gig. But we have all the means, technology, and resources for everyone to live good, and we don't. Why? Because conflict is the backbone of entertainment. And they have to keep us in conflict. Right? They have to keep us completely saturated with conflict so the watchers have something to watch. Because let me ask you this. How many TV shows do you watch that aren't conflict-based? That don't have conflict at the heart of the show? Whether it's Sesame Street and will the round peg fit in the square hole, or it's, NCIS, did this guy kill that guy, whatever. It's always conflict. Even your dumb game shows, Price is Right. Will they spin the dollar? Will they win the oh, they didn't win anything. It's conflict. So this reality TV show that we all live in, it has to be full of conflict or they'll reset us. Every time we get to the point where we do achieve that utopia, maybe it's not immediately, but once the show gets boring, they reset it. That's the key to the resets. Everybody's always talking about it and talking about it happening, but nobody can answer why it happens. Well, there's your answer. Because we become unified. We make our Tower of Babel and figure out, we get to the top and we start knocking on the roof. Hey, what the fuck's going on out there? It's up to them to keep us stupid. That's the scary part. That's like the catch-22 for me, right? Because I know that I'm sort of arguing against our own long-term survival. It's a weird thing. Like, I believe that there's a reason why, like, I have to do that with everything. I can't just get to a point and go, okay, well, I've got my answer, so I'm done. I always have to keep asking why, until there is no more why. And the reality is, I think they keep us here, they keep us in this position because that's what's entertaining. And I know I'm crazy because I think we are a manufactured reality that is probably, amongst other things, a reality-based TV show and also like a farm, a place to do experiments, all these things. We are the unknowing, unwilling, unwitting stars of this reality-based TV show that we don't know we're in. And that's for a more advanced version of us. Now, you can call that as crazy as you want to. I'm okay with that. More than likely, you believe in either the Big Bang or Jesus or God. And both of those narratives are actually the exact same thing, just different characters. And they're stupid as shit. So if you want to believe the things that I that you're supposed to, you're only allowed to believe one of those two things. They give you those two things. If you think anything else, you're crazy. But you want to believe in things that require a tremendous amount of faith and don't have any evidence. I believe that a more advanced version of us has us in something we don't know we're in. I don't think that requires that much faith. How far away do you think we are from having that? From building some sort of dome structure that the things inside don't know they're in? You think we're 100 years away? 1,000 years away? 10,000? You think us in 10,000 years, we're not going to be able to build a dome that the things inside don't know they're in? I don't even think we're much more than like 100 years away from that. To be honest with you, I mean, look at the technology we have. Look how close we are now. Conflict is part of life. It is because it's manufactured that way. Right? It has to be that way. It's not what we want. I guarantee none of you would turn down the opportunity to live in a society where all of your needs were met, you lived very comfortably, and all you had to do was contribute somehow. You just had to be a positive contribution. Whether you're inventing cures for whatever, or you're just the friend to the friend of the guy who cures things. Like, you're there for that person when that person has to be there for the cure guy. Whatever. You raise good children. You create art in some way, music, whatever. You do something to contribute. How many people would be like, oh, that sounds horrible. I'd much rather believe in God and Jesus and heaven and hell and go to be a slave every day. No, I need to cut that skin off of my child hours after being born because God wants me to. Like, it's just, it's insanity. And until we realize that, you know, we're being manipulated. Like, it's crazy because how many people believe the pyramids exist? Like, everybody, right? Well, how did we build the pyramids? What's the standard answer for how we built the pyramids? Hey, there's all these churches and castles from like 1,000 years ago, supposedly. How the fuck did we build all those? Oh yeah, that's easy. That's we have no fucking idea. Those were supposedly made during the Dark Ages. Like, it's every single one of us knows of a building in the downtown that we live in where you go to it and you just stand there and go, how the fuck did they build this? What's this, 1790? How did they build this in 1790? How did they build this church? And that's your brain fucking telling you something's not right here. And yet you go, well, I don't want to be made fun of. I don't want to be ostracized because I asked too many questions. I saw what happened to that other truther guy. I don't want that to happen to me. I want people to like me. So you just go with it. People aren't perfect. Emotions mean there will always be conflict. Is that what it is? So even if there's always conflict from emotional stuff, right? Because somebody likes, but again, if we lived in a society that didn't teach guys that as long as they're persistent enough, the girl will like him. If we lived in a society where we taught guys that if the girl doesn't like you, great, move on. Don't fucking hound that girl. Don't give her any more attention. As soon as you find out she doesn't like you like that, cool. Now you just know, and that's great. She doesn't deserve you, and you move on. Like, until we start changing the way that we do things, people are going to be these fucked up people. But again, that's because the chosen that control the media have been telling us that for the whole time. That it doesn't matter how gross and J-looking and nerdy and, you know, how much the girl doesn't like that guy. By the end of the movie, he's persistent enough. He's going to get her. And the only thing that matters for a girl is whether the guys like him or like her. I mean, it's all stupid. The Oddfellows, like, that shit's real. Most people are going to sit here and, oh, the Oddfellows, huh? It's real. It's a real, legitimate part of American history. At least part of the American history that they want you to know. It's there. It's not like you got to go talk to some guy and he'll slip you a packet of information and it's like, all right, burn this when you're done. No, just go look it up. That shit is all 100% real. Just like everything I talk about is 100% real. Except for the whole TV show thing. That's just my theory. But everything else is real. What are people like even talking about? If you don't know about the Oddfellows, that doesn't mean it's not real. Just because you haven't bothered to learn or you've had that information kept from you. You know, the Know Nothing Party. That's like the origins of our democracy are the Know Nothing parties. Or the Know Nothing Party. But hey, don't talk about that. The TV show is a real look. Not sure what that means. But it actually answers all the questions. Like when it comes to religion, if you're religious, you sure do have to ignore a lot of shit that's supposedly real. That's like concrete shit. You know, if you believe in religion, but also believe in the Big Bang, you're a little confused, aren't you? But the TV show explains it all. If you believe if you believe in science, well, then there's a lot of shit you just have to overlook that doesn't sort of fit the scientific narrative. There are places all over the world called mystery spots where the quote laws of physics don't even apply there, let alone all over the universe, everywhere. The system tells you that there are places in the solar system, moons of Saturn or whatever, where it rains methane diamonds. If it's been raining methane diamonds for eons on this fucking moon, how come that motherfucker isn't huge by now? It rains methane diamonds? Get the fuck out of here. But this is the kind of shit, like, you just have to believe what they tell you. Most of you, 99% of you, believe the James Webb Telescope exists. You've seen a bunch of pretty pictures provided by the James Webb Space Telescope and all that shit. And yet not a single one of you even begins to understand, like, what it is, how it got there, where it is, any of that shit. You just believe the pictures you're given. Because the telescope takes pictures in infrared, then sends the signal over the million and a half miles back to Earth, where the computer then decodes the digital information, the infrared digital information, and provides a pretty picture, or provides some sort of printout that then some sort of artist knows how to decode the printout so then they can make the pretty picture. Like, it's really, really stupid. The Lagrange point, the James Webb is supposedly living out in the Lagrange point. You start learning about the Lagrange points, these places that are these gravity pockets that get pulled along with the Earth as it goes through its rotation. And anything that's stuck in these gravity pockets moves along with the Earth. Doesn't even have to be fueled. And there are 5 of them. Each planet has 5 Lagrange points. And the James Webb is in the furthest Lagrange point from the Earth, which is 1 million to 1.5 million miles away and forever in the Earth's shadow. So they can always take pictures. And the Lagrange point is named after Lagrange, a guy in the 1770s or some shit like that supposedly theorized these Lagrange points existed in the 17-somethings, because he knew the Earth was this ball flying through space, 26,000 miles across, 62,000 miles per hour, flying around the sun. That's 400 times the size of the Earth. He knew all that, and he calculated the math and well, of course, if gravity is going to be there making the Earth go around the sun, well, then of course there's going to be Lagrange pockets. Why wouldn't there? I mean, here on Earth, in my little experiments, I can show you that if one body is being gravity pulled around another body, because gravity makes us and everything, makes billions and billions and billions of pounds of water stick to the spinning ball, but it also lets me jump, lets my hair stand up. Gravity is the most intelligent force in the universe. And just like how gravity knows to let little seedlings fly and birds and shit fly, and while letting the air, the atmosphere, the air above the spinning ball that's going 1,000 miles per hour, that air is moving at the exact same speed as the ball, so that it looks like, nothing's spinning. I mean, that makes all the sense. I get it. But like you have to believe these insane insane things. And like I say, the gravity lets that happen, but out in space, gravity makes big giant rocks revolve around a forever furnace that's burning plasma fire out in space with no oxygen. Did they cut off the comments again for real? If somebody can comment to tell me, just tell me I'm stupid if that's what it takes. But did they cut off the comments again? But like I say, if how does gravity know to hold the like the Lagrange guy in the 1700s, he knew that gravity made things stick, but also made the balls revolve around each other. And if the balls revolve around each other, then that must mean there are these gravity points. Oh, so I guess the comments are still there. All right, cool. There must be these Lagrange points. How would you even come up with that? Where would you even get that from? Like it doesn't even make any sense. He couldn't even begin to test this theory or there's literally no way that some dude in the 1700s figures this out. And yet, for some reason, he did. So why don't we do one last reset just to see what happens, and we'll go from there. Because this will be the fourth time I've had to reset it. But we'll see. Pedophiles, kill yourself.